All right. Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini.
And I'm Chris Sweet. And
And
I'm so excited for today because we have a guest. Today's episode is really special because it's truly going to be telling a story for like any entrepreneur who is just standing at a crossroads right now. The one who's like built something really successful, but deep down, like it may be time for a change and you're just feeling that. So we're joined by Miss Melissa, who crazy enough, we like just met like what, 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're my
All
friend.
right.
Like, we just have to be friends now. But you had built, a very successful fitness business and then have pivoted your business. So it's going to be exciting to dive into just like the identity shifts that you had to go through, trusting kind of the pull before the plan all fell together for you and what it really means to embody just like this next evolution. So why don't you just intro yourself a little bit and then we'll dive in.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. And yeah, like Chris said, we all met like in real life for the first time like 6 months ago, but we've been connected on Instagram and through mutual friends for so long. So it had to happen eventually. But yeah, excited to be here. And honestly, with the intro, it's so funny when people ask this because I'm like, oh, how much time do you have? But like
All the time in the world for you. Like, tell the people.
we'll do the abridged version. So a lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually went to law school, graduated, and I was like, haha, I'm not going to be an attorney. That was a whole situation in itself. That was like my first experience of intuition just really giving me a nice kick. And so then it kind of overlapped a little bit. I had a few fitness clients at the time, graduated law school, and I just was determined to like not get a job and like make this thing work for myself. And in the span of 3 months, I did that, like graduated, made it work, moved across the country to San Diego. I was in Kansas. That's where I'm from. And it just worked. Like I was, you're new to business. You got the blind faith. You're like, what could go wrong? Like, I was like,
I have a dream, and that's the best I could have right now. That's all I need.
Literally. And so it just worked. I was prepared to like do whatever it took. Like I was emailing my resume to coffee shops. Like that's where we were at, but I never needed to. So that worked. And then so I graduated law school December 2018, moved here in March 2019, had my own business. I moved in with my roommate at the time and she had a fitness coaching business as well. And we just like very quickly, we'd already been friends before that. And then obviously that's how we decided to move in together. Best friends, soul sisters, like the whole nine. And then through our time living together in that first year, we realized like, oh, we coach really similarly. And then we hosted a challenge together and we were like doing starting macros one night for all the girls and like double checking with each other. And we would always come up with the same macros. So we're like, wow, we really coach the same. Like, what if, and this was around Christmas time, 2019. Well, let me back it up. August of 2019, I was on an airplane and the name Alignment Athletics came to me. And I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew it was going to be big. So I like typed it in a note on my phone. Then it's Christmas time and she and I are in our little apartment kitchen and she's like, what if Alignment Athletics was like the umbrella and then we like coached under it? And from then on, we just like decided that was it. We merged, we like did all the back end stuff, told all of our clients. Officially launched the first week of March 2020, which I'm sure we all remember what was happening.
what
I was like, what a time. What a time.
Yeah, so like it could have gone one of two ways, but it went the good way. So we really scaled like quickly. We had a team of 10 at one point, like assistant coaches, virtual assistant, graphic designer, consult specialist, the whole nine. So like scaled the team, had all these clients, et cetera, et cetera. And then everything changed with social media. Like a lot of things our lead generation just started to slow down and we maybe had hired too fast, whatever. Lots of lessons came out of that. And so learned a lot from that experience, managing the team, whatever, especially throughout like 2021, 2022, 2023 rolls around. And we're just like doing our best. We have so much pressure on ourselves to like support not only us, but also a bunch of clients and our staff, et cetera, et cetera. And then it was July 2023. We were supposed to have our regular like Monday morning CEO meeting. And for context, my business partner, she had type 1 diabetes. And so, sometimes it just like gets difficult to manage. I mean, I had lived with her, like I knew this. So anyway, she had moved to Austin back in, I want to say it was 2021, which was like sad for me, but it was her journey and we still maintain a long distance friendship. It was great, especially like being in the business together. Anyways, that weekend, things had gotten a little dysregulated. Her roommate told me like, hey, here's what's going on. Monday morning, we're supposed to have our meeting and like nothing's happening. And come to find out that she had unexpectedly passed away that night. And so obviously that was just the biggest shock ever. Like I had never lost anyone before. Like it was just, I can't even explain that experience. So that happened. And then it was all up to me to figure out like, okay, how am I going to tell our people this? Like I need to tell them immediately. And the weight of knowing that and not being able to like, people are DMing me on Instagram like, hey, where's Lexi? Like, is she okay? I open it, I have to leave them on red. I can't say anything. Like her family wanted us to handle this in a very particular way because we both had a big Instagram presence, et cetera, et cetera. So that was like very difficult, obviously. And so at that time I was like, okay, I'm going to tell our staff. This was literally July 3rd. This happened. And I was like, let me just let them get through July 4th and then I'll tell them. And they were all like, no, like, let's just talk now. So deliver that information, start to figure out the clients because the clients were waiting on check-in responses. And like, so then I had to tell the clients and transition everybody and just get that all figured out, then publicly handle it. And it was just a lot, but not to get hung up on that. That's what was happening in July. And then 8 days after Lexi left, my grandma left this planet, which was also unexpected. And so it was just July 2023 was like, there are no words for it. So anyways, we're going through all that. I'm traveling to like celebrations of life every weekend. It was nutty. And so from there, I'm thinking, okay, I got to make sure Lexi's clients are taken care of. I got to make sure our staff is taken care of. Like everybody's good. And it wasn't even like I felt the pressure from anybody else to like keep going with the business and make sure it's all good. It was literally from myself because I knew like that's what Lexi would want. Like she would not want us like moping around. Like she would continue to impact people even if like the roles were reversed. So it seems like I just like don't even know how to explain how I navigated that, but I just like handled my shit and probably could have processed things a little better, but hindsight's 2020. Then throughout the rest of 2023, I had already been wanting to do more like mindset work, like more of what I do now. But along the way, I had kind of ignored it because I was like, okay, we have this business together. It's got to be fitness focused. And even after Lexi left, I felt just like immense responsibility and like potential guilt and shame if I shifted. Because I was like, dude, this was her baby as well as my baby. Like I need to live out her legacy, et cetera, et cetera. And like I couldn't have even talked about this like 6 months ago because I just felt like such a responsibility around that. And then I realized like, hey, everybody comes down here with one purpose. It's not our job to take on someone else's purpose. And like Lexi doesn't give a shit anyways. Like she's up in spirit land. Like we have talked about this. It is fine. So I had to do a lot of healing around that. But going back to the latter half of 2023, as the universe does, it coordinates things for us. And from the outside looking in, it looked like things were crumbling. Like staff members were leaving, people were unhappy. Like I just pared everything down to like literally by January 1st, 2024, I was a one-woman show. It was not easy. Clients were getting bounced around, which is not good. Like that's the last thing I want for them, but I also want to serve them and retain them and all the nitty-gritty of that. So get through that. January 1st, 2024, I feel like a new woman because as you guys know, managing people is just not easy. Pros and cons, everything's equally good, equally bad, whatever. Like that's, beside the point. But I was just happy to be like a solopreneur again. I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I could finally do like exactly what I wanted. And so that was 2024. March of that year, I went to Bali for a month. Just got real with myself. Bali does that to people.
Yeah. Bali has healing vibes.
Bali has a lot of people, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody needs to contemplate their life, listen, the flights are the only expensive thing. You get over there, you're paying like $4 for breakfast. Okay.
Yes.
So that was great. And I went there because I was hosting a retreat with a friend, actually a fitness retreat. So it just kind of worked out like, again, divine timing. When I was in Bali, I created my first mindset masterclass. Like I was so scared to talk about this stuff because I had been studying it and like implementing it with myself for years, but it was like in secret. which is how I was back in law school when I was like doing all the fitness in secret. Like I had a double life. I had like my fitness Instagram, and then I was a law student. So it was like round 2 of that, but I have not. So I still do have a few fitness clients because they're just like OGs and they can stay with me as long as they want. But I haven't promoted fitness on the front end in almost a year, I think. I like don't remember when my last fitness call to action was, but ever since then I've just known, like as I've trained my intuition and I've like confirmed with my higher self and like source, God, universe, whatever resonates with you, like this is it. Like this is the path, you know it's going to work. Like the higher self path is always the hardest path, meaning like you're going to get so many challenges and just like really uncomfortable things that come up. And it's also the most fulfilling on the other side. So even just like last night, I spent like 10 minutes checking on things because March and April were a little mentee bee for me. And when you have like that knowing and you can confirm with your intuition of like, no, this is it. Like you're literally doing all the things, you're going to be fine. It's such a game changer. So that's kind of the path of, how we got here today.
Wow. Just like from law, even just law school, I'm like, you said that you sent your resume to coffee shops, and immediately I was thinking of the fact that your resume said that you probably went to law school. And I was like, the coffee shops are probably like, what does this girl do? Like, why is she
okay?
Like, we're a little confused here. Like,
We're not hiring a lawyer right now.
We'll let you know. That's
the road. We'll circle back.
Crazy. Well,
Yeah.
immediately what comes to my mind too is just like how the definition of success probably changed for you in so many different like seasons of life. Like success probably at one point was going to law school and becoming a lawyer and practicing law. And then it evolved into fitness coaching. And then it evolved into now what you're doing energetically and mindset wise. So what has been your relationship with success? Like how have you worked through that from going to like the peak of a fitness coaching business that's I'm sure making multi 6 figures to now where you're at today as a solopreneur?
Yeah, that's such a good question because as humans, like we think money will just solve it. We really, really think that. And it's not the money that we want, it's the feelings and like the freedom that we think the money will get us. And so it's really integrating and like wiring that into the brain and understanding like, hey, yeah, the money's cool. Don't get me wrong. We got like a big vision and a big soul plan over here. It's going to be awesome. But it's so counterintuitive because it's like once you stop caring about the money, that's when you make it easier. And so humans, like we just get so caught up in that. But I would say back when I started entrepreneurship, which was like summer 2018, so right before my last semester of law school, I was like, I just want to make enough to like pay my bills. I don't want a 9-to-5. I cannot do this. And you know why I couldn't do it? Because I wanted to go to the gym in the middle of the day. I did not want to go at corporate hours.
Amen.
I literally convinced my internship. I was like, hey, can I leave at 3 so I can go work on my research and writing development so I can graduate? No, I went to the gym. So
Priorities.
I wanted to survive. I was like, I just can't go into the corporate world. And then I remember like as you get more and more into the business and entrepreneurship space, 10K a month seemed like, oh my God, like why do you need that much? That's insane. Like how would you even create that? And you don't need that much. Like that was my view at that time. And then you get further and further in and people are making like, I remember hearing one of my friends ask a mentor like, well, I've been stuck at like 20 to 30K and I want to make like 50K months. And I was like, you're insane. Like literally, what is your problem? You just, like, I saw it as selfish and I was like, that's impossible. Like, how could you ever do that? And like, again, it's just levels.
Yeah.
So whatever. Then once we had the fitness business that like the biggest year we had was the first, I think it was 2021 was the biggest year. And we had set a goal, like pretty big goal and like got really close to it, which was great. And it was awesome. However, at that time, okay, we're making all this money, having these big months. Let me tell you the reality of it, because this is what people don't talk about. There were multiple months that Lexi and I, as the owners and co-founders of the business, did not get paid. There were times where we had to put personal savings into the business account for payroll because we just did not have things set up the way that it needed to be. And we had a big staff and, it just logistics. Like you just learn these lessons. That's fine. It's not, I don't regret it or whatever, but it's painful when it's like, hey, me and you together, we got to put $10,000 in the business bank account just to pay our people. So we're paying to run this business that's making multiple six figures a year. Like that was so brutal. And I still like, I think that's a driver for me of like, I can never go back there and like, I won't, but that was the reality of it. So at that point I was like, I don't care to make this much revenue every month because it doesn't mean shit for me. Like I want to get to a point where I am being compensated appropriately for this thing that I have built. And like Lexi and I had built our Instagrams for years and years and years to build a community, which ultimately ended up becoming clients. And, you know, some people just like don't see it that way. People think it should be easier, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we got to get more aligned here, like 3D logistically figuring out the business expenses and all of that, but also just energetically, like we're not working for free. Like we did that for a very long time. And so at that point, I didn't care to make all the money. I cared about the profit margins and I cared about survival again, because I prided myself on like, okay, I moved across the country. I never had to ask my family for a penny, not one. Like I did this, which was such an ego thing, but still. And that there was a time when all that was happening where I had to ask my dad to pay my rent once. And I was like, okay. And he lives in Kansas. So paying California rent, it's like, I can't ask him to do this twice. Like, you know, I gotta just figure this shit out. So at this point, that was a December of whatever year that was. I don't remember now. But that's actually the first time we signed up with Kendall. And 3 months later, we had $50K in the bank account after payroll. So like that proved to me, okay, we can create things really quickly. That's not really the problem. The problem is like energetically, where are we matching to and like what are we aligned with? So at that point I was more interested in like, let me hack the system. Like, let me actually figure this out, because apparently money is just that easy to make. And it's not all about that. It's about like how you're feeling inside. And so anyways, you know, we continued on that journey, had ups and downs, but never had to put money out of savings again. Thank God.
Hopefully you paid yourself back too.
Yeah, actually paid ourselves a concept. So, you know, that's carrying on. And then things just kind of, I don't want to say dwindled because that sounds like so negative, but like, you know, clients graduated and then everything happened in like 2023 and like staff left and like revenue just got lower, which was fine because I was not going to sustain that same revenue being one person. That's fine. So anyways, my definition of success now is like, don't get me wrong, I'm still stoked to like scale essentially a new business and like do it again and do it better and like sustain it, because I'm learning how to like create and sustain something. The problem is when you like create something and you lose it, it's like, ooh, we didn't do it the right way, like energetically. And so I'm just like stoked to learn that. And I know going the source, when I say the source route, I mean like the source truth. Like from when I say source, you guys can change it for like God, universe, whatever light resonates with you. The source way is not going to happen overnight. And that's like how it's designed. So like you grow and you know how to hold on to it, and you grow a little bit more and you hold on to it. And like we can get into quantum leaping and everything later, but my definition of success now is understanding how everything works. Like my soul desires to know why it does that, how I can manipulate it in my favor, like manipulate in a good way. And so that's just kind of where I'm at now. I will say I've like been humbled. I've come back to business basics in the last like 6 weeks that I was being a brat about. I'm like, I don't want to do DMs. Like I'll just magnetize the people. I used to do DMs all the time. Like I've done this before, and it's like, okay, but like, remember that's what worked. That's what like scaled your business. And this is a whole new business. So you're going to have to learn it from a different angle. And again, that's the source way. So like, I'm not going to go that way, you know, but that's what I would say for like where I'm at now with relationship to success.
I don't think it's discussed enough. Like, you're not the only person who has gotten through this. And there's so many entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs. Like I always say, perception is reality. How someone, you know, is presenting themselves. It's so easy to perceive like these business owners as super successful and bringing home all this money, and all because your business is like making multi-six figures doesn't mean that you're actually making multi-six figures. And I've definitely experienced those months. I know Kelsey has in her journey of business owning as well. And it's so humbling. And there's definitely frustrations where you're like, gosh, like, what did we do wrong? Like, how did we get there? But it's amazing to see how you were able to just really work through that. And also Kendall is a literal godsend of a human who just like somehow like, I don't know, does like jazz fingers, and then all of a sudden you're like making money. You're like, oh, that's cool. It was that simple. Was there a moment with your like identity as being a fitness coach, like that you really had resistance with transitioning to just like a whole new really niche and market, and now what you're doing as far as an offer goes. Like, what was that like, letting go of the identity of being a fitness coach?
Oh, Chris. Chris. There were many a moment. I just, you know what was happening, like even before Lexi left, was I would watch, because all of our friends are fitness coaches, right? So I'm like watching their stories, like I'm trying to support them, you know, give it a like, whatever. Everyone's talking about the same thing. Everyone's talking about their stupid protein and their stupid macro friendly. So like I had the
Literally.
physical ick. I was like, I'm gonna gag if I read one more thing about protein. Like I just, my body like physically was like, okay, you won't listen to your mind, so we're gonna do stuff to your body. Like that's really a thing. Like you get physical like body symptoms as messages from intuition. And so I was like, damn, this is uncomfortable. Like I gotta stop watching this and like actually do what I want to talk about. But I went through the in between of like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll like do a fitness post, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'll do like a mindset post and just confuse the ever living shit out of my audience. And then I did like the whole like weave thing. I was like, ooh, this is a fitness post, but like look at this mindset stuff that like is the parallel. And then I really think like it was after, so Bali was in March. April, May last year is like when I really started to just, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna post what I want. I tried to be intentional about like the language I was using, because I just can't come out of the gate like screaming about intuition from the rooftops after I just talking about workouts. But you know, my audience, like they grow with me. They will ride with me, and that's just like kind of when I started to post the new stuff. But I was not like, obviously not as convicted as I am now front facing. Like on the inside, I knew, I was like, this is my jam. This works. This is the best of the best in the world. Like you can get answers to anything here. You don't need 17 different courses. But front facing, I had like, you know, the fear of judgment, the fear of abandonment, and like, who the hell do I think I am? And what do I think I'm doing? Like, and then of course everything with like, I don't want to abandon Lexi's legacy. Like it was just this nice little ball of chaos. And I just knew, like, even when it was happening, I was like, someday it's going to be okay. Yeah.
Understood on that. What shifted internally or what had to shift internally for you to then change externally when it came to your social media? Like, was there a switch for you, or like someone you spoke to, or a book you read, or something that you did that was just like, okay, this is what needs to change for me to actually step into that?
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be, the biggest thing was like training my intuition. So okay, first of all, before we get into this, everybody has intuition. Everybody is intuitive. Everybody is born with it. If anybody ever tells you like, oh, you just have to be born with it or you don't have it, they're lying. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, you can train it like a muscle. Don't we just love how that works? Nice little parallel. You can train it. And I had been training it for a few years, but when I crossed paths with my mentor now, my energetics mentor, she teaches you how to train it like literally down to a science. And so I spent all of 2024 training it every week with her and in a group. And like you practice in real time with people, you're in Zoom breakout rooms and the community is great and et cetera, et cetera. And I got more like direction on how to ask the right questions to intuition. And of course it's stuff that you're like, yeah, I knew that. Or you might think like, oh, I just made that up. Like that's what somebody would tell me if they were giving me advice. And it's like, yeah, no shit. That's your higher self telling you exactly what you need to hear. And like intuition, when you learn how to get 100% accurate information and like not manipulate it with emotions or outside forces or whatever, and the more you build it and trust it, like it just becomes this knowing that you can't deny. Because once your higher self knows, which by the way, higher self is the version of us in this lifetime that has no limits. It's like, she's not worried about a thing. So whenever you want to channel your higher self, just be like, oh, what would she not be worried about that my human self is worried about right now? Mm-hmm. Anyways, she'll tell you what you need to hear and you can check in with her. And once she knows that you understand this, like you know how the game works, game on. You are getting reflections left and right. She's going to speed your shit up so fast because like that's the goal. Like anything that's triggering, anything that's challenging, it's just helping us get what we want faster. But you got to have the right tools to like connect to that. So anyway, last year, I started asking certain questions about like my soul mission. You can find timelines for things. You can figure out, like, I test everything in my business, offers, when to host things, pricing, payment plans. I test if I'm going to invest in a mentor, what payment plan I should do, like timelines to just all sorts of things. And the repeated like confirmation and knowing of just like, damn, dude, this is really it. Like, this is really what my soul was created to do. And like, my soul was created perfectly to be who I'm here to be and do what I'm here to do. Like, you don't have to try, and here's why, like XYZ, and you really connect to those pieces of evidence. It's just undeniable. Like, you're not going to go the right path when you have that knowing. And even if you do get a little off path, you're going to get checked and put back on the path, like I have been a couple of times here.
That's
You're
awesome.
sweet. I love that.
It all started with law school.
You know, at that point, it was part of the soul journey, because I obviously got lessons there that like I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else, and that like wouldn't have primed me to start the fitness business and like be an entrepreneur and move across the country, and like that wouldn't have primed me to be like, ooh, I don't like this anymore. Like, everything happens on purpose for a purpose. Like, it sounds cliche, but it's so true. So it's like, while my ultimate soul mission and purpose is around the stuff that I'm doing now, there's chapters and there's stepping stones. So like 7 years ago, this was not my soul mission. My soul mission was to really get through law school and like do something very difficult. I met incredible people. I learned a lot. I had great opportunities. Like, I studied abroad in China. Like, people were incredible, and I don't have any regrets, obviously, but that was like one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah. I completely agree that everything happens for a reason, though. Like, and that one thing is just leading you to the next. And I think it's easy for us as entrepreneurs to ask, like, why is this happening? Or why do I feel this itch? Or to like have this voice in our head that's telling us like something differently. And I think when you really trust that and follow it, and just like, I've always taken messy action in my life. I dropped out of grad school to start my business. And I was just like, I don't know why I'm feeling this itch, but I have to just try it to say I did it and see where that leads me. And I think I always knew I could go back to grad school or go back to the thing that I was originally doing if I needed to. And it obviously leads you down. Like, we wouldn't be talking here today, right? If you hadn't probably gone to law school, and if I hadn't dropped out of grad school. And it's crazy how it just all connects.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So what does it feel like to be in your business now versus before? Like, what's the feeling towards it?
I'm definitely way more aligned. Don't get me wrong. There are like tasks that I don't love to do, obviously. But when I'm like in my zone, like, you know, your zone of genius or whatever, and I'm like creating, especially when I'm like speaking, teaching, like that sort of thing live to my people, that's my favorite. Like, that is what energizes me and reminds me, like, dude, you're all good. Like, I could be freaking out about money and then in 10 minutes get on a Zoom call and like teach on something. And I'm like, oh, that felt so good, because you're in full alignment, and that's the energy that we always want to be creating from. So yeah, just a little tip. If you're ever having a time, go defer to something that is exciting to you. Like, even yesterday, I made a vlog of getting a latte. Like, doesn't seem like a big deal, but I was so happy. I was like, this is fun. I'm just going to post
Let's face it, lattes are like little joys in life. Like, something about a latte can really change your day.
Yeah. We just finished the April challenge with no caffeine, and I was like, it's a big day.
You're like, I will get the fattest latte possible.
Yeah. So it's just little things. Like, even if you just go outside and literally, okay, well, be safe with your eyeballs, but like, look at the sun, right? Like, soak up the sun. It's like, you just remember that it's not that serious. Like, a month ago or so, I was freaking out, and I was like, I'm just a sim. I'm just out here like, oh, I'm just gonna drive my little car and like buy my little sandwich, and like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just little sims. We're not here to stress out all the time. So anyways, that's kind of a side note. But in the business now, I am pumped. I'm like so pumped. I'm at the point where I'm like really excited to bring in new clients. Like, I hosted a 5-day accelerator a few weeks ago, and it was the most fun thing I've ever done. The girls were so great, and I'm like, hey, I love you guys. Like, sign up.
Come work more with me.
Yeah, that's kind of where we are now compared to before. I will say before it was almost easier in a sense, because we had processes, we had systems, like everything. It was just kind of like a wheel that never stopped turning. Like, oh, okay, we're like in the DMs, book the call, they do the call, they sign up, we onboard them, cool. Okay, book more calls, they sign up. Like, it was just a wheel. This is just like such a different business model. Like, I'm not you will not catch me doing like the whole assistant coach thing again. Like I'm not going to take myself out of fulfillment because what I do is extremely special to me. Like it's fun. It's my most aligned thing. Like I love using my intuition and I love teaching. But also like I don't want to like train other intuitives to be on my team. I really like to be in fulfillment. Of course, I'll outsource other things as I grow. But it's different now because it's not like a wheel. It's like, ooh, I'm going to like launch this thing and see how it goes. And what do people really like? And how do I connect to my audience again? Like, it's just, again, being kind of humbled and going back to basics. But like I mentioned earlier, I will take this over literally anything else because I'm learning how to build and sustain it and not go get a 9 to 5, not like throw myself off the path or like grow too fast because then we don't want to like, not have the infrastructure to support it. So that would be the biggest difference, I would say.
Yeah. If anything, it just feels more exciting and energized. And I said that to you when I met you in December. I was like, I've had been following you since like, I want to say 2020. I think I was like following for a very long time. And your transition from a consumer standpoint felt so seamless. Like it from a consumer, like it literally looked like, wow, she's just like, you always did what you wanted to do in my eyes. Like, and you just did it and you just fell into it. And then how you navigated loss. Like I remember following you during that time and then just how you overall shifted your business. Like you really are so convicted in what you do, but I could tell meeting you in December, just like how much you loved your business. And I think that's what I want for like every entrepreneur and every business owner. I mean, that's why Kelsey and I even spontaneously went into a merge when you literally met us. And you were one of the people that I was like, hey, like, what advice do you have for this? Because I know it can be done well, and I know it can come with its own set of challenges, and you just like are a resource to people. And I think people just gravitate towards that. And it's been amazing to watch you in that transition too.
Well, thank you. That means more than you know, because we're just like in our own head. We quite literally can't grasp like how other people perceive us. And so it is cool to have that perspective of someone who, like you've been like in my life, right? For like years, like you've seen so much of it. And that's just such a beautiful reflection for me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. I do want you to explain a bit about what you do though, because I feel like Kelsey and I probably sit here and we're like, we still teach fitness concepts, all of this. So like, I love knowing the right people to turn to when it comes to energetics and mindset. And I think it's kind of blowing up as an industry in its own way. Like you definitely see a lot more of it, but you have your uniqueness to what you do. So can you just explain, maybe that's a very broad question too, as far as explaining what you do, but like to someone who probably doesn't fully know, I would love for you to just kind of like flex on yourself on what that looks like.
Yeah, totally. It's funny you ask this because this is the third time I've like talked about this in the last few days, I feel like. And it's funny because initially, like if somebody was just asking me this in person and they were like, chill, I would just tell them to go to my Instagram and you'll figure it out. But like literally the first line of my bio is not a life coach.
Yeah.
I do not like the connotation that goes with life coach, and I will not be telling people what to do with their lives. But if I had to do like an elevator pitch, it would be something along the lines of like, you know how you will have like repeating patterns in your life, or you're just like really trying to reach this goal and it just like something keeps blocking you, it's not happening. I help people remove energetic blocks so that they can become a match to the things they desire. And it can be literally anything, like the relationship, the dream partner, a bigger business, more money, more freedom. You want to travel more. You want to improve your health. Like that's the cool thing about this work is it applies to every area of life. It is backed by science and use like the tools that you learn, you can use for the rest of your life. So you don't need the dating coach and the personal branding course and then the other mentorship and the other mastermind. Like just get it all in one place and ideally train your intuition, because then you can really get the answers you need forever and always. Like that's the biggest thing. Not everyone's going to want to train their intuition, but even just the tools that I teach about things like universal laws and like how energy works and how you can, again, remove your blocks and become a match for things you want, unmatched from the things you don't want. Like I have so many stories I could tell you. I had a girl who her client was threatening legal action. And so I got this girl, my client, the ingredients to shift out of that so she wouldn't get sued. I was a match to get audited for taxes about 6 months ago. I shifted out of it. They never contacted me. Again, like that was just it. I had a client who got a complaint. She's an attorney, so she got a bar complaint filed against her. It got dismissed. Like you can shift literally anything. You can get, I had a client, even from the accelerator, she got a random $1,000 deposit. Like energy, there's no such thing as time and space. So it's not going to take you a long time to reach your goals. What's happening, this is the foundation here, is everybody has their own energetic blueprint, and think of it like a puzzle piece, like, or a puzzle or like a QR code. So everybody's different, right? What worked for your bestie to build her 7-figure business probably not going to work for you. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's because she needed different ingredients and you need different ingredients. And the whole ingredients thing, it's like baking a cake, right? If you want to bake the perfect cake, you got to have the right ingredients. And what those are programs that are running in your subconscious. So most of what I do is focused around subconscious reprogramming. Everybody's heard the concept of like, your thoughts become your reality. Okay, but how though? Like, these gurus, they're just out there like, just think positive. Like,
The great advice.
I tried that and it didn't work. Why? Because they're just talking about your conscious mind. The subconscious is what drives our life. And those two things, the conscious and the subconscious, they don't communicate. Like they literally don't speak the same language. So it's difficult because what's in our subconscious is just, it's on autopilot. It's on default. We're not thinking about it. So for example, in business, if there's a trigger or a challenge or a repeating pattern that keeps coming up, it's a reflection. There is this universal law called the law of reflections. Basically what that states is however you feel like people and things are being toward you, that's how you're being toward yourself. I'll give you an example. If in business you feel like you either have clients or you have leads that are just like, they're not committing, like they're super non-committal and like avoidant and non-communicative. Oh, perfect. Where in your life are you being non-committal, avoidant, and non-communicative? That's literally all it is. It is not, you are not getting any shifts, getting anything done or any closer to your goals by getting pissed at them. And they're just being a mirror for you. Like, what a gift. What an incredible gift. Because now you can immediately hold a mirror up to yourself, figure out, oh, you know what? I keep saying I'm going to go to the gym every morning and I keep snoozing. It will translate into other areas of your life. And usually it shows up in a different area from where the root cause is, because the reflections are going to show up in an area of life where we're going to pay the most attention. So for myself, that is business and finances. But my root cause of these things usually has nothing to do with business and finances. And that's by design, because our higher self wants us to listen. So once you understand even just reflections and you figure out, oh, okay, I'm, non-committal to the gym. Well, why is that? Let's go deeper. Like, what's the program that's making me take these physical actions? And this is where we bring intuition in, because we can really get into the subconscious and figure out, okay, here's your program. Here's what's blocking you. Here's how to shift it. Maybe on a deeper level, your self-image is not where we need it to be. Maybe you're thinking like, I'm just not worthy of this. And your ego's gonna be like, that's not true. I'm worthy of 7 figures, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you, ego. We're gonna set you aside. We're talking about the subconscious. It's gonna be triggering. There's a program in there that's running that says, I'm not worthy of this. And so when you're constantly thinking that, we get more of what we focus on. You're gonna find evidence of why you're not worthy. Oh, of course I didn't go to the gym this morning. Of course I did that because I'm not worthy. Of course I haven't hit 7 figures in my business yet because I'm not worthy. And this is all happening beneath the surface, right? And this is for survival, like thanks, but we can use the same tactics, the same programming for the good side. So what we do is start to run a new program. So this is where I'm going to go into a little tangent.
I'm so excited. Yeah. I'm like buckled in. I'm like, this is the shit I love.
I love it. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I was a big affirmations girly. Loved some affirmations. Every day, I could not be outworked. Every day, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I'm like, if this shit works, I'm on my way. Well, turns out it doesn't work. And it's because when we're writing down, I'm a millionaire, the subconscious is going, no, you're not. Girl, have you seen your bank account? You are not. You know what I mean? It doesn't line up. So we have this disconnect. And so that's why affirmations don't work. However, you can add on a piece that actually makes them work. So let's say we have the statement. We're not going to call it an affirmation anymore. But the new statement so earlier we were talking about I'm not worthy of whatever. Instead, we're going to have a new statement, and this is where we would use intuition to pull in like exactly what you need that will test at like a 97% effective or higher for your blueprint. But let's just say like, I am worthy and deserving of like loving and nurturing myself, taking care of me, whatever. Maybe I'm channeling for the collective here. Run with this one. I'm worthy of that. Okay, where's the evidence though? Because this is how we're going to pull in the subconscious. So maybe, and these are what we like to call micro moments. They do not need to be a big deal. It doesn't need to be like, I spent $600 on a massage for myself today. Like, okay, like that's cool, but that's not going to happen every day. The micro moments are happening all in front of you. Your brain just isn't seeing them. So maybe an example would be like, you know, you made yourself breakfast. Like you made breakfast at home. So there's no like seed oils and like you did a great job with like balancing the macro and micronutrients. Like it was so nourishing for you. Like bingo, you're so worthy of that. Like, are you kidding? You're not like going to McDonald's and getting fast food. You know what I mean? Like it can be the simplest things. And the more that you get that bullet point list of evidence and you emotionally connect, that's the non-negotiable. You cannot just write these things down and be like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, XYZ, that counts. Yeah, I'm worthy. Not going to work. You have to emotionally connect because that's what the subconscious runs on is emotions. That's how we actually feel into our body and then, you know, change our vibration, change our frequency to match to what we desire. Then your brain is going to start running the new program, but it's going to feel clunky at first. It's going to feel challenging. It's going to feel like BS. You're going to be like, your ego is going to say, this is stupid and this doesn't work. Because your ego doesn't like change. It doesn't want to get outside the comfort zone. It wants to keep you right here. And you are not designed for that. So when you are building this new neural pathway in your brain with our new statement and our list of evidence, it takes 20 times to build that new pathway, 40 times to make it a habit, and 60 times to make it a non-declarative memory, which just means it's on autopilot, it's your new default. However, you do not stop there. You got to keep feeding the new one or that old one that's been running for probably years, if not decades. It's going to come back with a vengeance. The analogy that I like to use is think about that old program, that old pathway that's been going on for so long as like the Grand Canyon. Okay. Like your thoughts, they're just always going to go that way because that's the easiest way. That's what they're used to. Building a new neural pathway is like trying to reroute water from the Grand Canyon. It is going to be so hard. But I promise you, if you keep doing it, it will work, especially once you get to that 51% mark. You're going to start tipping the scales. It's going to start becoming easier. And you're going to start pointing out the micro moments in your everyday life without having to write them down. And that's literally how you rewire your brain, which then is going to change the programs that are dropping down into your energy field and getting projected out into the like your reality that get reflected back to you. You will start getting more reflections of like, oh yeah, I am worthy. Like people are going to send you gift cards and shit. People are going to treat you to dinners. They're going to like buy you a day at the spa or like whatever. It doesn't even have to be like monetary things. Those are just examples. But that's how you shift your reality. That's how your thoughts become your reality through energetics.
Mic drop. You want to know what I was thinking in my head as you were talking? I was like, you know that sound? And it says, if the men know we can shapeshift or whatever. Do you know that sound? I'll have to send it. Some of the listeners definitely know, but it's literally an audio sound that's like, if the men know we can shapeshift, then like something. I was like, we can't let them know that we can shapeshift like this, that we can reroute all these things because like we're freaking powerful. But that's incredible. Like, yeah, your whole journey of this is, I'm just like, how do you even conceptualize all of this to start? It's crazy. Where did you start like learning about energetics and mindset and like the power that is this?
Yeah. So it's so interesting because, you know, I read my first personal development book in college. It was The Untethered Soul because I know that book. I was very triggered by everyone. I was like, I don't like people. Girl, I was like 20 years old. I just, you think you know everything. And then it's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. But that was where I so vividly remember starting there. But as far as like energetics, I got 3 levels of Reiki certifications from 2021 or 2022 through 2023. I learned a lot from that mentor that unfortunately went down like a dark road. That's like a story for another day. But hindsight's 2020. So like, thank you for that experience. I learned a lot from her, but I also learned a lot of things that are not true and like why they're not true. Cause there was like a lot of manipulation and like dark force stuff going on there. So then, I started working with my mentor now, Allie. I entered her world. It was like, I had my first session with her December 2023. And so Lexi had actually showed me Allie. And Lexi and Allie, it was this crazy, like, Allie had like met Lexi's parents at a wedding, and like, it was just insane. Like, they have the same name, Alexandra, and they look like, it was just so many crazy synchronicities. So anyways, Allie knew Lexi through Instagram. And so Allie kind of knew like my background. We had this whole session about just like, what is happening with my life? Because this is when I was in the thick of it, dude. And so I joined a course from her, and then I had a one-on-one session with her. And then last year I trained 4 levels of intuition with her, which was almost the whole year. I've did a career course with her. I've just like she's one of those people. It's like anything she puts out, like I'm going to do it unless it's an intuitive no or whatever. But it's so interesting because I've learned so much from her. Like a lot of what I teach now came from her world. But as I've learned these things, I've realized that like I knew some of this stuff even when I was little. Like I remember like just straight up channeling like a tool. Like for example, there's a universal law called the law of balance, and it just means everything's equally good and equally bad. So like if you're seeing 47 pros for something, there's also 47 cons, and vice versa. Like if you think something is all bad, I dare you to write out like, okay, here's the 13 cons of why like this sucks. There's going to be 13 pros. Like it works every time because it's universal law. But I remember thinking that when I was young. I was like, something made me mad, and I was like, okay, but like, how is it a good thing? And not from like a shallow, like happy place of like, no, like seriously, this is the truth. Like, why is it actually also a good thing? So it's wild. Like there's certain tools like that my soul was just delivered to me early on in life.
That's crazy.
But yeah, a lot of what I teach now, I have like solidified in science the last like year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that you've done the work though to like solidify that for yourself and like step into your offer more with it. I had a question as you were talking that was like, again, going into the mindset world, you see a lot more life coaches and mindset coaches. Like, what are the most common misconceptions you see of like what you do and just your title now? You know, again, you're not a life coach. So it's like, well, what are the misconceptions of people coming to work with you?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have like tried a lot of things and they've been burned because there are just so many. We call it the spiritual matrix. So, you know how there's like the whole corporate 9-to-5 3D matrix, which by the way, just a side note, if you're trying to escape the matrix, that's the problem. Like you're in it, dude. Like we're all in it. Just we got to let that one go. Anyways, with the spiritual matrix, there are things like concepts and teachings that were designed to actually limit you and like keep you stuck. So you just want to use discernment when you're like consuming information. But that's the problem, is like by the time people get to me, they're like, I feel like I tried all this stuff. Like I did meditations, I did the Dr. Joe exercises, I read his books, blah, blah, blah. And part of it is like, okay, well, first we got to know if this is like the source truth. And then part 2 is, did you actually embody it 100% of the time, 24/7? And that's where intuition comes in, because you can see like what percentages you are matching to something, or like how close you are, like the timeline. But then once you get that, you can get tools to make it even faster. Like for example, I had a timeline for something to happen this year. It was going to be 6 to 8 months. I've already sped it up to 5 to 7 months, and the quickest I could speed it up was 3 to 4 months. So I'm literally like collapsing time, which is like so cool. Again, like time and space aren't real, but that's like the hack to the system. So anyways, a lot of the misconceptions out there are things, just generic things, like the whole affirmations situation, or I mean, I've done some wild shit. I have done like an 11-minute meditation where I had to hold my arms a certain way. Like what? Or like there's some girl was telling me the other day, because I asked, I was like, what's the craziest shit you guys have done? And she was telling me about candles. Like you go into like crystal shops, and I have nothing against crystals. Like you see them right back there. I think they're pretty, you know, they're pretty, but it's not the crystal that's doing the thing. It's like you setting the intent. Like I could decide that this cup is going to be my wealth magnet, And like, it's not the cup that's doing it, you know, it's me. And so there's just so many generic pieces of advice that are BS. For example, just trust and surrender. Okay. Well, that puts your power outside yourself, and that's like not the point of you being a human here. No just means something better is on the way. Okay. Like, again, such a nice excuse of like, no, I did everything I could. It's a no, so I'll just wait around, you know, just wait for things to get better, wait on timing. What else is there? There's just like so many. Oh, if it's meant for you, like it'll be easy. Like if it's really, really hard, it's not meant for you. Okay, well, that's ass backwards, because we talked about this. The higher self route is the hardest route. Which brings me to the next one. Like, the universe is testing you. No. There is a universal law of free will, which means the universe / God, source, whatever, it has its hands just tied behind its back, out of our business. This is by design, because we're all extensions of source. So we came here to create like source, and that's what we're supposed to learn. So you can make a decision and change your entire life at any time. You know what I mean? That, again, is by design, because source already knows everything. It doesn't want to micromanage 8 billion people. Source is like, hey, get out there and, like, we talked about creating this whole life, go do some cool shit and like learn and grow as a soul along the way. Cause we get like soul points with every lifetime. And the ultimate goal is to come back to source with like all this information that we learned. Cause source like knows it all, but also is like, I want to learn more. So that's like the whole, like, if you zoom out, that's what's going on. But any advice that requires you to put your power outside yourself and like rely on something else, like the whole trust and surrender thing and just like, oh, just the timing, blah, blah, blah. No, screw that. That's false. And also it's backed by a universal law. It's backed by science. And we can use intuition to get in there and figure out there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're not bad. You're not in trouble. You're not being punished. Karma is not real. That's a whole other thing. You are just missing some energetic ingredients. And we can just pull those in a matter of 20 minutes. You start programming them. You never have to deal with the trigger again, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool about like what you do is like it's already all inside of us. And I think so many people are looking for outward signs and like almost getting really, really, really woo-woo in it. And it's like, okay, it's not that deep. Like, it's literally just like you. And I think, like you were saying earlier, it's like all science backed. And I feel like for coaches, like, we're so logical. Like, what you do just makes more sense. Like what you're saying, I'm like, oh, I can actually follow this. It's not like a magic fairy is coming down and being like, this is your purpose. It's like, no, it's like already inside of you. You just have to like have the right tools to like feel that and like pull it out of you.
Yeah, which that reminds me, I was gonna say, when you're like, oh, what's a misconception? The whole signs thing. You know, people are like, oh, give me a sign. And they see like a full moon, a full blue moon, and then like 777 7 times.
feather.
And then like there's like some fairy that actually flies by and they're like, I need a signier sign. It's like, okay, first of all, the universe is not the one giving you the signs, because what did we talk about? Our thoughts become a reality. So law of focus, whatever you focus on expands, you're going to draw it into your reality. If you set the intention to see like a blue flamingo in the next 7 days for this, you're probably going to see it. And when you do, don't freak out and lose your shit. Like, that's literally just, you created that, which is still a good thing, because that's evidence of like, look how fast you created that. Like, energy, there's no scale, right? Like, you can create something massive just as fast. And it's just like a nice piece of evidence that, okay, like, I create my reality and I get these reflections, and I can already hear the questions on the other side of like, well, I ask for signs and I never see them. Okay, well, there's probably something subconscious going on where you don't believe in your ability to manifest and create. Again, there's always a solution. Like, a problem cannot scientifically, metaphysically exist without a solution, which is like amazing for us as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up, because not to really tie it into fully me over here, but when I lost my soul dog, like in 2023, I had said to my therapist, actually, because I had heard like so many stories of people like seeing signs after and with grief and like, you know, whatever. And I remember having a therapy session where I was just like angry and I was like, I'm not getting any signs. Like, I just don't understand. And my therapist was like, just like ask for them, like, just, you know, welcome them and, you know, think of what those signs are going to be. And I then started seeing signs, and like, but I had to work through resistances and things and like expectations that I had within me in order to see things that I wanted to see, or like open my, like have the expansion to even see that it was probably in front of me all along. And I was just like really sitting in frustration. And now going through grief again with Bo, I've definitely been in that mindset of like just signs and like comfort in that. And it's crazy because like I've seen the most amount of blueberries in the last 2 weeks of my life. And I'm like, but they were probably in front of me all along, or something was there. And it's just been really powerful to see what you can create for yourself. And if anything, it motivates me to know like I can create more for myself than just this that's right here. So that's an interesting point that you brought up.
Yeah, I'm going to add a caveat with souls who have crossed over, because we would have to use intuition to test, but I'm pretty confident that those blueberries you're seeing, at least some of them are obviously coming from Bo. And like I've experienced the same thing with like, you know, Lexi and my grandma, and like even this is like kind of a quick little story, but I was getting my lashes done once, and I've been going to the same girl for years, and her grandma had just passed away. And I'm laying there and I just like of course my eyes are closed. Like I'm seeing this in my mind's eye. Like this white flower is just like in my face. And I'm like, this is so, and we had started talking about her grandma because I just like honestly forgot, which was so bad. But I was like, hey, like, how's your family? And she's like, oh, you know, and I was like, shit, I just asked a loaded question. And then this flower gets in my face, and like, just undeniable, like, it will not leave. It is just right there, and it's on the left side, which is the feminine side. So like, if a soul that crosses over is going to come visit you, if it's a man, they usually come in on the right. If it's a woman, they usually come in on the left. And this was my first experience with this, to my conscious awareness. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. This is weird. Like, you're weird. Don't do it. I tell my girl, I go, this is going to sound crazy, but I go, did your grandma really like white flowers? Or I go, did she like flowers? And she was like, oh my God. Yeah. Why? And I was like, how about a white flower? She's like, well, she grew this flower once that like got an award. I'm going to text my mom and ask her what flower it was. I was like, okay, I think your grandma's coming through. And it had been like a week since she crossed over. I was like, I think your grandma's coming through. And she's just like showing me this beautiful white flower. I can like still kind of see it. And, you know, she's fine. Like she's chilling with us. And so anyways, I go home, and later that afternoon, she sends me a screenshot of the flower, and she goes, is this what you saw? And I was like, yep. So signs, like, yeah, they can be real, dude. Medium stuff, like I do not offer like medium reads. I'm not like super formally trained in that or like well versed. But even this week, I was doing a read for someone, and her grandpa came through, and I was like, I think this is right, but I don't want to be making this up. And like I do the read 24 hours before, so I just like made some notes. I was like, I think her grandpa came through, and here's what he wanted to say. And we get on the read, and at the end, I was like, do you have anybody in your life who's like crossed over, like a family member? And she was like, oh yeah, like my grandpa, like 6 to 7 years ago. And I was like, yeah, he came through. He just wanted to give you a little bonus message. So they find me, and I'm like, I'm trying my best to like translate this and tell people, but like it's just crazy. Again, circling back to the signs, like those can actually be like real things from, you know, your souls who have crossed over.
That's awesome.
So interesting. Yeah.
It's so cool how it all, I don't know. I used to have so many misconceptions myself around like mindset and like energetics work, and I've gotten more into it and open to it over the last like couple years. And definitely the signs thing was like the craziest part of all of it. And like going through grief, like you really attach to like a spiritual side that you just haven't before. Like I didn't really dive into it until really I went through loss. So yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you can't, like nothing can prepare you, and like it's a scary part of being a human, but you can't live like trying to prepare for it. Like that's pretty dark. So just enjoy your people and your animals while you have them, and you'll get through it when you get there, and that's okay.
Yeah. Dang, you're like powerful as fuck, Melissa. Like you're just changing lives and changing time and everything. What would you say to the entrepreneur who knows that they may be meant to pivot, but they're just kind of like pushing it off consistently, or like those little nudges are coming and they're just like, no, like, or it is hard and they're just like, well, it's not easy, so I'm not going to do it. What would you say to that person?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things. And this is like not to scare you because there's always a solution. But if you ignore the nudges, they will get louder, because your higher self is just communicating to you like, hey, this is what you actually want. Like, why are we not doing it? Let's just get on board. Come on, and she's going to poke you and prod you. And like, it's almost like the whole concept with physical health of like, hey, listen to the whispers before they become a yell or a scream. Please just lean into it. If you have something that is exciting to you, something that is interesting to you, it's not for no reason. It is literally, like I'm telling you, 99% plus your soul pull, like your soul mission, purpose, whatever you want to call it. And that's what's next for you. The more you ignore it, the more uncomfortable it's going to get. What happened to me in law school? I ended up in the urgent care waiting room with a panic attack, like fully convinced that that was where it was going to end. I didn't even call my parents because I was like, I don't want their last memory of me to be me freaking out. Like I was just rock bottom. And I don't want you guys to go through that. I don't want you to go through any kind of physical ailment, because you can even get like random body reflections. Like, dude, last summer, as I'm doing all this, I had like itchy armpits for like 8 weeks. Literally like a rash that in the dead of summer, I'm sweating every day, like just very uncomfortable. And like, it's funny now, but when it was happening, I was like, I'm going to lose it. Like when me and my higher self meet, we're going to throw some ethereal hands.
You like couldn't do overhead press for like 8 weeks. You're like, don't look.
Bad. Like I couldn't. Oh my God. So anyways, they will get louder. And I know it sounds easier to just like, no, I'll just like handle it internally. Okay. If you want to go that path, that's fine. But I don't want you to go that path. So listen to that. And what was the other thing? I don't remember now. We're telling them what if they want to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think also understanding, like, don't expect yourself to do it all in one day. Like, you have a big goal and vision of like where you want to be. Like for me, I want to have to like upgrade my Zoom because there's so many people who want to like come to my shit. And like, that's not happening tomorrow because I'm not like rooted enough to my stuff to magnetize that amount of people. I will get there, and you can too. Like anybody can do this, but it all starts with you. So if you're like kind of scared talking about a new offer, spend some extra time connecting to why it's like the best of the best thing with yourself first. And it's going to make it way easier. Like get on your stories and like make a carousel. Like, girl, I launched a Dark Forces course back in February, I want to say. Do you think I wanted to be out here making a carousel about demons on Instagram? Like, I want to be the crazy psycho who's like, do you know about the Illuminati? Like, no, I did not want to. My human self is like, we cannot be doing this. Like, this is unhinged. And then I just rooted to it, and I realized, like, this is not about me, because it's not about us. Like, we are literally channels. We are all literally channels, and it's not about us. And this is what I would say for the final piece of advice is, because this is the source truth. Every single one of us is contracted to help a certain amount of people and also specific people. So what happens to those people and this planet if we don't show up? What would have happened to us if our mentors didn't show up? Because I guarantee you, anybody we've learned from, they have been in the same exact spot that you feel now of like ground zero, square one vibes of like, I don't know who I think I am. This idea is crazy. Why would I pivot a business? Like you might already have a multiple six-figure business or wherever you're at. It doesn't even matter with the money. You might already have a business and it feels stupid to pivot, but there is a reason. And now I remember the other thing I was going to say, and then I'll be done. There's a reason you're meant to pivot, and it's because your potential for like capitalizing on this idea and like skyrocketing is the highest. Like it's growing higher and higher and higher. And if you sleep on it for too long, you're going to miss the highest potential. Let's say you're at like 89% right now to just like pivot this business, start the new thing, and like eventually it's going to give you the most fulfillment and the most money ever in life. If you wait 6 more months, that 89% could drop down to like a 27%. And you can get it back up, but it might not ever get that high again. And your higher self is always going to communicate with you through your mind and through your body. So that's the source truth. When you realize that, you're like, okay, I'm done messing around. This is not about me. Let's get it.
I love that. That's so good. To wrap it up, what's coming up for you now in this next chapter of life and business? Like, what are you working on? What are you doing? What's coming up in life?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of just been like a lot of experiments of like, I'm going to try this thing and I want to launch this thing and blah, blah, blah. And of course, as entrepreneurs, we get so many ideas. And so Kendall's doing a great job of like keeping me between the ditches.
Kendall is very good at being like,
Yes.
cute. Let's put that
Yeah.
on the parking lot of ideas. Like,
Yeah, it's like the parking tower of ideas.
yeah.
We have a whole garage.
We have a whole garage with multiple
Yeah.
levels.
You get it. So right now, my main focus, like I will say personally, because that's the foundation of what's going to happen in business, is I need to balance my energy across all areas of life. Like I realized recently, I'm like 100% in my head, 0% in my body. That makes me sad for me, especially as a woman. All I have thought about for a very long time, like 99% of the time, is business and money, like career and finances. That's it. Like I'll be in the shower, all my shower thoughts are about money. Oh, what if I can't pay for this? But I want to go travel here, but probably can't pay for it, and blah, blah, blah. That makes me sad for me. So I'm working on reprogramming all of that because I want to pass that along to my clients too. But in the business, my main focus right now is the mastermind. And so this is the way to work with me, is coming into the mastermind where you're going to learn all of like the universal laws that we talked about. I teach on how to actually reprogram your brain. We learn neuroscience. We learn energetics. We learn how to actually heal and clear trauma, limiting beliefs. Like this, I'm just going to say it, like better than talk therapy. I'm sorry. It just is like, I want to get to the root cause, and like, that's what I do with everything, because you can get some really nice band-aids out there, but wouldn't you rather just heal it and be done with it forever and like have the tool to clear the next thing forever? So that's a lot of what I teach in the mastermind. We've got many intuitive reads in there. You can bring a question every month. We've got trainings and Q&As every month. Like I really desire for this to be a community of like sisters who are on similar paths and can help each other, like just like how we all do in the mastermind. Because I find that the root cause of like definitely a lot of my own struggles, but even just with like entrepreneurs in general, is we're too in our head. Like we're not talking about it out loud. And like even Mac, my fiance, and I, like we will have a full on conversation. Like there was 2 weeks ago, like I had a mentee B on a Tuesday and he had a mentee B on a Wednesday. And after 48 hours of like very great conversations, we were like, we just got to talk it out. Like not even with each other. Like we weren't like mad at each other. We just like had our own stuff going on. And so I don't want you guys to ever feel alone. Like you're not alone as an entrepreneur. I know it can feel that way in the beginning, especially when you're like pivoting away from what everyone else is doing. You know, like you graduate college and everyone goes to work corporate and they get brunch every Sunday and they play baseball on the weeknights. And, you know, it's just a whole different life, but you chose it for a reason and you wouldn't trade it for anything else. So I would just want to have like a really great supportive community for that, and just have it be like the one-stop shop, end all be all. Because again, there's 8 areas of life. What I teach applies to every area. You don't have to go anywhere else for answers. We can use intuition to answer literally anything, whether it's about you or how the world works. Because if it's about you, I'm going to ask your higher self, who knows everything about you. If it's about how the world works, we're going to ask source, who knows everything. Like you can figure out anything, which is just like my soul's biggest desire. I just want to master everything. And so, yeah, that's the community that I'm growing right now. There's definitely other plans for this year. And like, I've got a couple courses in place too, but that's my priority.
That's amazing.
So exciting.
It is really exciting. I was like, I just remember talking to you back in December of, I think it was the Dark Forces that you were creating. And I just remember being like, that's a dope name. Like, that's the coolest name that I've ever heard for a program. So I love everything you're doing. And I think you're just such a great example of like, when you have that itch to do something different and, you know, you want to do something different than even what people usually expect of you, right? Your content and fitness and everything that you did, you really just showed how you can start leading from the version of you that actually wants to emerge and actually wants to do all the things. So where can the people find you then if they want to come stalk your page and hang out with you?
Yeah, come hang out. Just come over to Instagram. It's at melissajane_fit. You know, we're just keeping the fit in there until further notice, because all the other handles that I want, like even with my, what will be my new last name, are taken. And so I'm like, you know what? It's all good. Like my little pinned post explains, hey, I started out as a fitness coach. So that is where you can find me.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, we will definitely put your information in the show notes below. And thank you so much, Melissa, for coming. And you guys can catch all the other details. We'll put it all in the show notes to find Kelsey and I and everything that we're doing over here. But hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.